So we are back, and we are back to have a nice talk here on stage. Topic number 5, a progressive leadership with purpose. And our guests are João Roquette, CEO do Esporão, e Marco Galinha, CEO do Grupo PL, and also Christopher Davis that will join us from UK and is International Director of Sustainability of Body Shop, and I'm not sure if he's ready already, but and also with our good friends John Elkington that will help us with this conversation about the future and the leadership in the future. And so I'll defy Mr. João Roquette to have a word on the way that he's preparing his leadership for the next years.
Very well. It's a great pleasure to be here and share a bit of Esporão, which is a medium-sized family company that I have the honor to work since 2006. So Esporão, it's, as I said, is a family business that started in the 70s. We produce wines and olive oils and craft beer. We sell our products a bit around the world, being Portugal and Brazil and the US our main markets. Our team is about 300 people, divided for people who work in the vineyards, in processing, in marketing, in sales. You know, a full scope company that goes from agriculture to distribution in some of important markets. We take care of 2,000 hectares of land across Portugal, of which 700 hectares are of organic certified farming, mainly vineyard and olive grove. And this is part of the story that I come here also to share with you today. So the business started with a very strong vision in the 70s, and at that point was very passionate and purpose driven. Was two friends who had this idea to make great wines in the interior of Portugal, which was quite forgotten and a poor.
A bit of a crazy idea.
Yes, a very crazy idea. And that purpose and that vision was so strong that still holds us, and we're still fulfilling that vision to today. In 2002, organic products kind of stepped into my life for personal reasons, and I was surprised with the quality of the organic products. They smelled and taste better, and so in my life I start being a consumer of organic products. And then later on in 2006, by the way, a lot of important things happened in the business during that time. A lot of developments. The vision was good. The wines were good. We made an impact in Portugal and some important markets. Making good wine available to people. But then in 2006, I started working in Esporão, and the first thing I felt was from the team there was these challenges in the production model. We had a pretty straightforward agriculture model, and that the results were not being as good as everybody wanted. So we thought that the next level of quality that we could achieve was by changing our model to organic farming. I was very involved on that change, of course, because I was a consumer of organic products, and I was now working in a company that makes wines and olive oil, so it would be consistent that we could go that way. In 2008, we developed what I call a full scope integrated plan with 8 pillars. We used the natural step framework that was already talked about in the last presentation, which helped us somehow to organize all these projects and ideas that we had. So basically, we thought about what the company would be in 2020. So this year, we wrote it on paper, and then we did an assessment of where we were, and we developed a plan, very straightforward about organic agriculture, the way we would deal with the resources, the way we would the relationship of the company with its employees and society, waste and so on. So, you know, the next years were about...
Did it all match 10 years later?
Some of them, yes. I was quite, you know, putting the presentation together and I was reading through them, and I was happy to see that some of them and some of
were accomplished.
Were accomplished, you know, and others we still have work to do. And this is you know, this is something. It's a path and a way that never ends. You know, it's a continuous process. On the presentation today, and I put this in green here about culture change. You know, most of what we accomplished was by doing this, by building a culture, a company and team, or changing the culture and team to go after this vision that we have. So in the next years, we pretty much focused on accomplish this plan. And finally, last year was an important year because we finalized the process to have all our production certified organic, which for several hundred hectares of culture is quite an accomplishment. You know, and last year we also developed the slow forward campaign that I will talk about also. So now, a bit the culture change. So we are a family business. Typically, family business have values that are strong and are, you know, at least medium long-term values, and that was the case in Esporão. I was also coming from a background in which I was doing something that I really loved, which was I studied business, but then I was doing music, was focused on music, which is a passion since I was a kid. So,
do you play any instrument?
I do play some instruments, yes.
Guitar?
Mainly the piano.
Mainly the piano. Wow.
Yes. I went to the jazz school here in Portugal at some point.
So it's quite a change to lead an enterprise like this one.
It was, and for me it was a life decision in which this was something that I would, you know, have to think very well, because it had to have a very strong purpose, because I was doing something that I loved very much, and
you have to have passion.
Exactly,
otherwise
exactly.
It won't work.
So in this project I saw something that I was trained to do from one side, but with a very strong purpose, because it was something belonging to my family. It was something that had, you know, a great group of people that were working for 30 years to get there, and I felt that this company needed a vision for the future that would be sustainable, that would endure the business and the jobs and what we were doing to the future. So the purpose on my side was pretty much on that. I had the vision that we could do something special. The company could go and sell its products all over the world if it had a strong value proposition, and that was based on the sustainability values that we could build. So the motivation and the opportunity was there. And then the important thing was that I was, you know, working with people with similar purpose and values. That was very important. People which, for them, was also important to wake up in the morning and, for example, try to avoid using herbicides and pesticides in the vineyards to do a better product. And they were there. This idea was pretty exciting for the people who were there. So then, you know, it was a process of sharing vision and a desired future. You know, what we want to be in 10 years from now and how we're going to get there. Making a plan and you know, allocate resources, very important. Be systematic, organize yourself around that vision. The first steps were balanced between the sense of urgency that we felt, because times were changing, our production model had, you know, challenges, and we had to have impact so that we could change the business and also convince people that this was a good way forward. Then, of course, develop skills and knowledge around what we were trying to do. We visit a lot of other colleagues in other places in the world who did this before us. We went to conferences, we read books to build new skills. We also brought new people in, younger people aligned with our our values and with skills that we could use in our business. Then communication was also very important, both internally, sharing failure and success, but also externally we were very prudent because was all this movement of sustainability and greenwashing and marketing that companies were on board, and we thought we didn't want to do that. So we just started to communicate achievements and results, and we didn't communicate intentions. And then, of course, this is a continuous process in which you have to nourish nurture this culture and build flexibility and amplify the culture. So this was pretty much, on the topic about leadership with purpose. And I would like also to take a minute or two, if I can, Pedro. I don't know if I'm on time. Yes?
Absolutely.
Just to speak about a bit about the future. Well, the future is quite uncertain. We have to embrace that of course, that uncertainty and learn to adapt. But definitely for us, climate change and being on an agriculture company, climate change is not at all a matter of faith in science or a discussion or political discussion. Is a fact. We've been seeing indicators in our business regarding to the cycle of plants, regarding to the meteorology in the territories where we are, that indicate that something is changing quite fast. And that is something that it's the number one challenge that a company like ours that works from agriculture has at this point. So I think that this is a collective problem. This is not only this is not a corporate problem. I used to think that that corporates, businesses have created this mess, and that we had the responsibility to get the society out of it, And I don't think businesses will do that. I think, as John said before, businesses will do incremental, changes. And what we need now, it's quite radical. It's a rupture, and the only the power here it's on people, and the executive power it's on governments. It's political, and politicians have. For example, in this pandemic, took decisions, very hard decisions, to keep us at our houses and not work and not socialize, and this was quite extreme. But we understood it because we thought we could get killed if we wouldn't. And climate change, it's more challenging than this, because the people who are at home, they don't feel it. They really have to believe in science. And what's going to happen in 50 years' time to do something about it. So it definitely needs to be politicians to create a framework and an environment where companies and
I really appreciate your faith in politics, João. Really, I'm very astonished with that.
Yes, I think that, for example, another thing is, as you can see here, we launched a campaign, and this campaign is about life. It's about quality of life of people, and not about GDP, as we talked before. And I'm a strong believer that companies serve society. The role of companies is to serve society, and if companies don't do something for society, they will disappear. I mean, and I think what's one of the challenges here is and looking at again at capitalism, which served the world for a few years. For example, the new Green Deal that we approved, which has a lot of benefits because a lot of money will come to the economy to reboost the economy on a greener side. But at the same time, I kind of feel that we are still in the same system. That still the idea is, let's give a lot of money to companies and to people so that we can continue to consume and we can continue to spend, even though it's greener. And I think one of the problems is consumption. And and that's what we've been struggling with. It's how can we have 9 billion people consuming like we are consuming in the Western world.
We cannot.
And do this with the resources that we have.
It's impossible.
I think it's impossible.
Yeah.
So part of the solution will be for us to consider our lives and to see how we can, have a more balanced economy in that sense. So we are somehow advocating for going slower, for going better, but it's not just business, it's our lives. And it's not morality. We don't want to, of course, impose anything on anyone, but we're kind of putting this out there and saying this can be something interesting. And we're not the first to do it. There are the companies who did it before us and inspire us to do this. So a bit of a balance of a consumer goods company like Esporão while promoting less consumption is something that also will entertain our excitement for the next times.
For sure. Thank you so much, João. Big applause for João, please. It was very interesting, and we'll be talking later about some of the issues that you've mentioned. And now it's time to listen to Marco Galinha, the CEO of Bell. Marco, be our guest. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. And I prepared a kind of thing to present, but I will make completely different. Why? Because I truly believe that we are all the time planning, and the planet is always worse and worse. I remember when I was young, all the people say we should do a better planet for our children. And my generation, we are not handling with this problem. We are doing a lot, but we are not doing the right thing. And why we don't do a better children to the planet? Because I truly believe that we are living two types of crisis, two types of virus. One is COVID-19, and the other is our planet that have one virus that called human race. And this pandemic, I truly believe, is a wake-up call, but maybe is the last call. When we study the numbers of wild species, the numbers of domestic species, we can see that is completely disappearing, the wild species, and domestic species are getting to the numbers, impossible numbers. And today morning, I was leaving Cascais, and I saw 6:30 a.m. a rising star. And I looked to the sky, and the star was very fast. And it was not a star, it was this International Space Station. So when we look, I work in airspace in one of the companies of Bell Group. When we look from space to our planet, it's a small pixel. But it's a small pixel that is changing color. The color is not the same of 50 years ago. It's not the same of 100 years ago. And it's getting brown and brown. And it's really funny because every day we are working to get money in companies. And companies are driving by money, results, pressure. But I'm really happy because today I can see sustainable report bigger than financial reports. It's in big companies. We in Bell Group, we are doing the same. We are getting more attention to sustainability. Because if we destroy our habitat, we will not have nothing. And it's really important that we should trust in companies, because companies that have a good drive by good CEOs, it turns our habitat much better. And it was really funny. When I started Bell Group 20 years ago, I started using hybrid cars. People think that I'm crazy. And then I started using electric cars. I started using solar panels to put energy in the cars. And it was really funny. And I have lots of problems to park the car, to charge the car. My life was impossible. It was a completely mess. But in the same way, I get a lot of time for reading, understanding better the planet. And my life changed a lot. Nowadays, Bell Group, we have more than 100 electric cars. We supply energy by solar. And I looked to my side and I found the smartest persons that working for me. And I truly believe they are the smartest persons of the country. So, and maybe of Europe, why not? And what is really funny, we have a kind of drive doing this. And this is possible because I check the numbers, and the numbers are really amazing. The first years of this big change that we have done, even in recycling water, all the steps. was really impressive after 5 years, the improvement in terms of EBITDA. Today, we are improving maybe 20% because the investment that we have done in these sustainable investments. So, and let's explain another important thing, biodiversity. I'm seeing every day people with more disease, skin, cancers. It's really impressive. They are like, every day are more and more and more. And last year I started traveling, 3 years ago, to Africa, inside wild, inside very dangerous zones. And it was really impressive what I saw. First of all, I get a lot of problems in our boat. We stop several times because the plastics in the system of the boat. We collect plastics in Guinea, in open ocean. How it's possible? So it's much worse than we are talking. We are heading to collapse. And or we can change with the next generation, because I don't believe my generation we cannot do it. But we should prepare that new children, the new generation for this planet, because I truly believe that we are heading to the 6th mass extinction. And this kind of virus is very, very nice because it's a simple virus. It's not a hard virus like it can be like a Ebola or something, because we will not be here for sure. So, and politics are really important, but they are changing only now, because the past, I think, I have some accounting with them because they make too much mistakes. They invest our money in fossil industries, fossil fuels. Our banking system, they should invest in corporate responsible in sustainable ways. Why we are investing our money in unsustainable companies, and we are destroying the habitat? And I think this is truly the big discussion that we should have now, because when we look to the numbers of financial system, we are talking values and values of billions, I think trillions in this planet. They are printing, they are destroying every day. So if we focus the right investment, I truly believe that we can have a better society, we can have a better future, and this, I think, is we are living maybe the last call to do that. But I have a great honor to be here, and I'm really positive because humans, we can change. Normally, when we feel pressure, we change. But we need the pressure, and the pressure should come from governments, should come from people, from ourselves, and these new generations, they should make more noise. I'm not a crazy guy, but I think they should make more noise, because someone create a mortgage in your future, someone, and was not the new generation that create that kind of mortgage. So our habitat today, it's not the same that my father gave to me, will be not the same to my kids, will not the same for the next generations, So
the difference is huge.
Yeah, for sure.
From generation to generation.
Yes, but this pandemic, I truly believe that is a clear signal that the planet is taking care about the planet. Because humans, we are a kind of a virus to the planet, and planet is creating a new kind of protection. When you look from space from ice, it's really amazing the quantity that we lose, the billions of tons of ice every year, and this is a real problem. It's not a thing that we should only talk. We should act.
We are running out of time, but do we still have time?
Of course, I truly believe that events like these, like Planetiers, but walk the talk. I remember last time I was in Porto, seeing the former president of the United States, Obama, that come to have an amazing conversation.
It was disappointing.
Yeah, and people was lunching, and plastic everywhere, in the floor, everywhere. And they say, we should walk the talk. I found lots of nice people. I call hackers of sustainability. Not that conference, but when I saw some programs on TV, I have a great honor to know João and these kind of people. They truly make the change, but not now. They start more than 30 years ago. And that I truly believe this is our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco. And let's go online with Christopher Davies. Christopher, can you listen to us? Hi, Christopher. How are you doing?
Hello.
Welcome to the Planetiers World Gathering, and let's have your words.
Well, thank you for the welcome. It's nice to see you all. How beautiful you all. Thanks for inviting me. I'm at the Body Shop for sustainability and activism. As many of you will be familiar with the Body Shop, international cosmetics toiletry company, 70 countries, including Portugal, of course, 3,000 stores around the world, and part of the Natura and Co group, and a B Corporation. I guess I did like to share a couple of thoughts with you to get the conversation going. So, for the Body Shop, we were founded 4 decades ago, right here actually in Brighton in the United Kingdom. Our founder, the iconic green warrior, I suppose, in business, Anita Roddick, loved cosmetics, loved toiletries, but even more than that, loved the belief that business can be a force for good and a force for change. We were the first company to drive fair trade from being a niche area of business practice to the mainstream. Way back, we used our stores to drive political activism, to drive social and environmental change, seeking justice. And from the get-go, from the creation of the company, the belief that we should operate sustainably was really integral to how the business functioned. But just listening to the colleagues speaking just now, I do think that we are at a real crossroads with that concept of business and sustainable business. For us at the Body Shop, we really wonder about the CSR industry because it is an industry, a lot of people benefit from it. Look at the big four accountancy companies, for example, they're right in it. They're making a lot of money from it. Actually, it's a strong argument, I think, to say that CSR has been a rather effective shield. Good CSR, i.e. good PR, has been a rather good effective shield for protecting companies who are doing a little bit of good, but mostly bad. So I think the provocation that we have right now within the Body Shop, in fact, I think within the wider business community, is what is CSR doing? What role does it have to play in this climate emergency that we are living in? Is it there to maintain the status quo, or does it have a function of driving the transformation of capitalism? I think for the Body Shop, very much built on our own history and our own heritage, we absolutely believe that we need to reinvent ourselves and reinvent our sustainability agenda. And that's why our founder, Dame Anita Roddick, was a massive fan of the natural step framework, which you may be familiar with. These 4 principles of what a regenerative planet needs to look like. And for us at the Body Shop, the reason that we work, and I think you've just heard from Jeff Kendall about FutureFit, the reason we work with FutureFit and we have built our new sustainability plan on FutureFit is because it's built on those principles of planetary regeneration and societal regeneration from the natural step. And it is, I think, and I believe, the benchmark for good practice. For the Body Shop, we are launching next year a new sustainability strategy, a new 10-year sustainability strategy built on a FutureFit business benchmark, which aims for our business to be regenerative by 2030. And I think that for the interesting thing and the interesting challenge, and maybe a debate for us now, is how does the rest of the world and how do other companies look at sustainability? And what would their answer to the question be? Is it a shield protecting businesses from bad practice, or can it be a proactive movement which really drives the world and in many ways saves the world, because the politicians aren't going to do it. I think we've seen that and we see it every day, saves the world from itself. So I'll leave it there as a provocation to you all, guys. Where are we going with corporate social responsibility? I'm convinced it's not where we need to go right now.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Just one thing, you've said that in 10 years you want to be in Body Shop, or see Body Shop as a regenerative business. Can you explain it a little bit further? What does it mean?
Yes, of course. So one of the great things about the Future Fit Business Benchmark for us is that it is built on the best available science. So, and it tells you, you look at the methodology and you look at the benchmark, it tells you what a company needs to do to have, firstly, no impact, no negative impact, but then secondly, positive impact. And it gives you the goals that you need to fulfill to deliver that. And that's what we're working towards today. So out of those 23 goals, for example, you would absolutely have a business emits no greenhouse gases. That would be one condition. Another condition would be that a business pays all employees a living wage. Again, another condition for a sustainable world. We're not just focusing on environment, of course, we're talking about the system and how the system of society and environment interact. Another example of a goal would be ensuring that all of your products are repurposable. So again, anything that you put out to the world, the company remains custodian for until they are repurposed. So that's what we mean. Perhaps the best way to simply answer that question is, it's not about the Body Shop saying we will be a regenerative company. It's about the Body Shop saying we are committed to this external benchmark based on science, which will tell us when we are regenerative. So we're not marking our own homework using Future Fit, if that makes sense in English or Portuguese. We're not just saying internally we as a business want to do this because it suits us. What we're saying is the planet and society needs us to do this thing. We will be measured against this external benchmark, and we will be transparent about our performance. So again, it's a slightly different way of doing things. And for me, the right way of doing things, if we are going to become, as the Body Shop's ambition is, once again, a leader and a provocateur in sustainable business.
Thank you so much, Christopher. And I'll ask John Elkington to join us. I know, John, that you are a little bit tight on schedule, but I'm sure that you have heard us very carefully. And you also have some thoughts to bring us and to talk with us. John?
Thank you,
Welcome
Pedro.
back.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
can hear myself. I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is how strange it is, how unusual and how exciting to hear CEOs, business leaders like João and Marco talking about climate change with that intimate perspective of having felt it in their businesses, and talking about plastics in the ocean in the way that Marco did. And these are businesses clearly that have been pursuing the sort of sustainability objective and agendas in a really, really serious, integral way. And I just wanted to say, Chris talked about love a number of times. I almost want to say I love the individuals on this panelist, but perhaps I should say I love your commitment, your ambition, and your stamina, because this is a really complex agenda and it's taken a long time to really build the momentum to the point where it now is. But isn't it extraordinary too, listening to Chris, how in the past, if a provocative business like the Body Shop was acquired by a major company, in their case like L'Oreal, that was a disaster in many ways. And yet now, with Natura taking them over, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, are no longer automatically a disaster because the mainstream is beginning to wake up. I love the ambition that Chris expressed. I like their early support for the Future Fit Foundation's sort of approach and benchmark. And I just wish I could sort of, this is probably an inappropriate thing to say, I just wish we could clone the three business leaders on the panel today and spread their genes through the rest of the business world. But whether or not we can clone the leaders today, these changes are coming. And that's why I said it's a very exciting and challenging time. And I think business is stepping up. But we've really got to find ways to get many more businesses and business leaders to do the same. And I think Planetiers is part of that momentum. So thank you.
John, thank you so much. And I'd like to ask to all of you, one thing that's been said here, sustainable reports will be more important than financial reports. Do you truly believe that we are going on this way when you look at the world? John, maybe I'll start with you.
No, they're going to be the same.
Say again, please.
The same annual reporting will have to do both functions, and sustainability will be much more closely integrated with the business and financial reporting. That's inevitable, I think.
And Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I would certainly agree with John. I think that it's a really interesting point because the challenge is persuading our investors, even our finance department, to treat non-financial indicators with the same importance as financial. And that is a big cultural shift. For us in the Body Shop, maybe it's a helpful example, we are moving all of non-financial reporting, so what some people might call sustainability reporting, away from my function right into the finance function. Which they're not very happy about actually, but I'm delighted about. But it's again, the reason for doing it is ensuring that when we report quarterly numbers on financial indicators, we integrate non-financial. So I think they will be of equal importance. And I echo John, I don't think certainly it's our vision for the Body Shop and my expectation for the rest of our commerce, I don't think you will have separate financial and non-financial. I think you will have one unified approach. The challenge, I guess, for that is from an investor. We're a public company as Natura & Co. How do investors make calls using non-financial data? Because there's no uniformity in an approach, is there? You've got standards all over the place on measuring non-financial performance, but there's not one unifier. So that will be a challenge moving forward. How can you compare like with like? That's something that we could talk about for a long time, but it's going to be something that we are going to have to fix as an industry moving forward.
Thank you so much, Chris. And next time you bring your guitar to Portugal, and we can have a band with João, because he plays the piano very well. And I don't play the bass very well, but I can still learn. And Marco will sing probably.
Yes, I'm really good singer.
We'll have a band on sustainability. João, you were talking about the climate change and the way that impacts agriculture. And it's incredible because you live in the rural area, and over the last years you've seen a lot of changes that people are not quite into that because they do not see it every day, but you kind of see it, right?
Yes, it's true. We weather is something that it's very important for what we do. It's something that kind of gives identity to a certain year in a wine, and we like that also. But we've seen that in Portugal, being a very extreme latitude to produce wine, and especially in Alentejo, which is a dry region, we've seeing quite important decrease in precipitation, extreme heat waves. We've seen that the dates in which we start harvesting our grapes, from the 80s until now, it has moved more than a month.
It's incredible. More than 30 days
Exactly.
in 40 years' time.
Exactly. So we started this year in the first week of August, and the harvest should be, it typically was in September.
Yes, the end of September most of the times, yes.
Exactly. So
when I was young, it was like that.
it was like that, yes, and that's a sign that the cycle that the vineyard does during the year that is related to heat and the weather, it's reversing. It's going in a direction which is not normal. So this year, in the last 5 years, in all 3 regions where we produce wine, something strange happened. Extreme heat, dehydration, out of season rain. This year in the Douro Valley, which is the oldest wine region in the world, has 300 years of viticulture there. Something happened that the company's been there for centuries, never saw before, which was with extreme heat, a reverse cycle in the vineyard where actually the stems of a bunch of grapes start pulling energy from the grapes, and that dried the grapes. So this was unique, and we're still kind of trying to understand what happened. So it's a lot of things are new. We are adapting our model, our production model to this, going to higher altitudes near the sea, to places where we're a bit more stable. But it's a big challenge.
But you've got a lot of people in Douro Valley scratching their heads, trying to figure out what is happening and how to make a way out of it.
For sure.
And Marco, we've been talking about these organic products and sustainability, but the problem is how do enterprise go through this transformation without running out of money and having enough capital to make this journey from being not sustainable to being sustainable?
Yes, that's a kind of a very hard game, because I have some small companies that we start to do that kind of products, and to be truly was very hard business. I lost a lot of money because it depends. It's about the consumer change. It's about the media. It's about the education, the new generation. But every day, people are more and more. They are taking care and attention about that. But it's not a very profitable business, but it's a kind of
long-term business.
Yes, it's a long-term business. It's a long road. But in Bell Group, we like marathons. We don't like short runs, and we always invest in that. Of course, sometimes it's normal losing money for 5 years in this kind of business. But then things are very stable. In the long term, it's really important. But never forget, Pedro, the banking system have to take care about that. Mm-hmm. I saw that today we have here an amazing bank that is doing that in our country, in Portugal. Is one of the sponsors here, Crédito Agrícola. Mm-hmm. And that kind of banking system, smart banking system, they are adapting, and they understand the change, and they have to support these new generations in this kind of business with the new laws of European Union, because if we don't support, we will have a boomerang crisis. The boomerang will go directly to our head. And of course, this is very hard to understand, but this is much better than save some kinds of bad banks and nobody understands where is heading the money. And we should invest in new generations, this kind of projects that are linking to sustainable things.
But you still believe that the financial system is changing and is looking to not only the figures that prove that the profit is acceptable or can be done, but also the sustainable way of doing things.
Yes, Pedro, I told you that sustainable reports are really more important than financial, but never forget, we should understand that we should have a good financial, to never a bad financial and only good sustainable. That don't work.
But you have to have a balance.
Yeah, a big balance. But what I'm seeing today in Apple, in big companies like Tesla, and they are driving the world to the right place in terms of consumer, I think they have a lot of things to do. But I can check now that sustainable reports are 3 times bigger or 2 times bigger than financial report. So nobody created me a law to do a sustainability report, but I started doing that with one of Big Four because I like hard things. And because when we are a CEO of a company, if you are there only because of money, for my opinion, doesn't make sense. It's a kind of a culture, doing the things right. And sometimes why you use a car if you can use a bicycle? It's so easy and it's so nice. And I'm truly honored.
Much nicer.
Yeah, I'm truly honored because this city, Lisbon, is improving amazing rules heading to that. So, and never forget, Portugal, we were one of the first in the world shut down the death penalty, slavery. We were the first. And why not we are the first changing and put this in the agenda? And I'm truly happy because I'm seeing that support in our political system. Because I'm not a negative guy, I'm truly positive, and this new generation, they are very optimistic with that.
And let's have that stress, that optimism that will make a change. And Chris, to finalize this conversation, do you believe more in the change of the public, the way that the public is pressing the businessman, or do you believe more in the businessman, or do you believe, or you put your faith on the politicians, or they are all very important and we all have to work together?
If I was to put a bet on in terms of where the change is going to come, I wouldn't put my money on politicians. I think the caliber of politicians that we have around the world today is pretty challenging, particularly in the country I'm living in now. The leadership vacuum in our political situation is shocking. I wouldn't comment on other parts of the world, but I think we don't have the leaders we need at this time, at this crisis, and I don't think that there is trust or belief in the system. So I think that's a real challenge. So I wouldn't put my money on politics. I wouldn't necessarily put my money on business leaders because I think that CEOs are still challenged to deliver short-term profits. I think that is still the overwhelming pressure from the markets to deliver. And actually, in many ways, I think the crisis, the pandemic that we're living in now has not changed that. In fact, I think it's accelerated it. I think that the markets are looking for those returns and they're not going to change at this point in time. Of course, money is shifting. Investments are moving from the bad stuff to the good stuff, but not fast enough. So I don't have the faith in the CEOs, or perhaps better said, I don't have the faith in the markets to support those enlightened CEOs, of which there are many, to deliver change. My hope is in the public, is in the people. I think for the Body Shop, I mentioned I was responsible for activism. Part of my job is using our stores to mobilize political action. And we've seen in our history, if we mobilize our customers or people, we can create political change. We can create change. We can mobilize. We've changed laws on human rights, on environmental issues all around the world. So I think the pressure of people is the great hope, especially the younger generation. Of course, it's been written about many times. The younger generation are fed up with us, the older generation, and they're fighting back. And I guess the final word I would say is, for me, it feels like it's our responsibility as the older generation, not to just support the younger, but to get out of the way and let them get their voices heard and create the change that's desperately needed.
So let's put our faith and our hope in the youngest generation. Chris, João, Marco, thank you so much. A big applause to all of them. It's our time to leave the stage. Thank you. Thank you. Also, I think he's still with us. John Elkington. John? It's just a bye-bye and a thank you.